So, yesterday we talked about consciousness and becoming aware of what you are living from inwardly. And today is going to build perfectly off of that because once you understand the consciousness, the next thing that Neville teaches us about is states. And we did touch on states yesterday, and I said we would go more deeply into it. Neville taught us, of course, that life is always experienced from a state of consciousness. And it's important to understand that a state is not a mood and it's not a passing emotion. A state is the position you're living from, it's the version of you that feels normal, the identity that you are occupying. So, when I first heard this, it hit me how much I've been living from old states without even realizing it. Like, I was living from states of proving, states of waiting, states of not being enough. And once I could become aware of that and see it, that's when everything started to shift. So, you're not experiencing life directly, you're always experiencing life through the state that you're in. So, what is a state? A state is a lens from which you interpret absolutely everything. So, from a state, your thoughts arise automatically, your reactions arise, you're automatic, your expectations arise, everything is automatic. You're not choosing those things in that moment to moment, they're coming from the state that you're living from. Now, Neville said a state is an attitude of mind, and that all states, they already exist. So you don't create states, you enter states. This matters one of the most things because people think they need to build a new state through effort, through work, through difficulties, through troubles. But Neville always taught us, and it's important to go back and remember that states already exist. So confidence exists, ease exists, security already exists. You're not inventing any new states, you're moving into them. And what most people don't realise is that even when a state is clearly seen, the body will still often keep returning to what feels familiar, especially under pressure and difficult circumstances. And that's exactly what we explore much deeper inside the Reset program if you choose to join. How to step into new states, like how you can make ease and feeling safe in your body so they just become the natural baseline. Now, when you enter a state, you can only see what that state allows you to see. This is why, for instance, two people can be in a similar situation and experience that situation very differently. And of course, it's not the situation that's causing the experience, it's the state they're living from. So let's take something really normal like a day at work. Let's say you send a message or an email and you don't get an immediate reply, or you don't get a reply that day. At first, of course, nothing's actually happened, you just haven't had the reply, there's just a delay. But then if you begin to notice, what are your reactions around this? Have you got any tightness anywhere in the body? Are you replaying what you said and wrote in the email? Is a sense of urgency and self-doubt like creeping in somewhere? That reaction, that isn't coming from the delay itself, because somebody else could have sent that email and they're not receiving the delay in the same way. It's coming from the state that you're living from, and in that moment you're living from the state of maybe like needing reassurance. So instead of just judging, take a breath, like I always say, and just notice right now, what state am I observing this from right now in this moment? This again is just awareness. It's so powerful. It's how you begin to loosen the grip that the old identity can have on you. So nothing outside needs to change yet. What's changed is that you're becoming aware of the position you're viewing the situation from. And that awareness matters really deeply because it shows you where you're living from. And therefore, the kind of experiences that state will naturally produce for you. So, if you're living from a state of like constant pressure, everything is always going to feel like it's too much. And if you're living from a state of like doubt, you're constantly going to find yourself questioning yourself. And if you're living from a state of security, which is what we all want, then things begin to feel so much easier and you don't overthink as much. So your reactions, they can really reveal the state that you're in. And one question that I like to ask that can be really helpful when you're trying to find out what state you're in is, again, pause, put your hands on that heart, and simply ask, who am I being right now? And this is exactly what we stabilize inside the Reset program if you choose to join. Again, it helps you live more often from that state so that the state can match the identity that you're trying to step into. So it all becomes second nature. And it's so important because people try to change their life by changing the circumstances. But let's go back to what Neville was always teaching us again and again, that changing the circumstances, it doesn't bring the lasting change. And he always said, the world you see is the world conditioned by the state from which you see it. What does that actually mean? What it means is the way your life looks is going to depend on the state that you're in. And when you're in that state, you don't tend to see the world objectively. You see it through that lens, you see it through who you're being. And when the state that you're living from begins to change, you're actually still living in exactly the same world, aren't you? But that same world is appearing and responding differently to you. So, what shows up around you is not random, it's showing you who you are being. And as long as you remain in that state, you'll continue to experience the conditions that belong to it. And when you move into another state, the world will recognize itself and reflect that new position for you. This is why Neville said to change your concept of self, not to struggle with appearances and what you see in the 3D reality and your circumstances. Trying to fix what you see, it will keep your attention on the effort and on the circumstances. But changing your concept of self means shifting the inner position you're living from. And when that inner position begins to change, that's when you'll see it reflected and the change will become on the outside. So, again, when I was first doing this work, you can't start by trying to force beliefs. I started by watching my states and what we did from video one, becoming aware of my consciousness, and that alone began to open a deeper sense of peace and certainty within me. And that's where the reset program was actually born, because it was born from the state principle. We evolve faster when we start trying to fix and we start embodying, and that's truly what I teach in the reset program, because we don't always need more information. We need to actually start embodying and living this as our normal life. Now, when your state becomes natural, you'll find that you stop trying. So that would mean like you stop checking, your reactions change without any effort. Life begins to respond differently because you're living from a different identity. So again, just breathe for a moment and imagine how your body would feel if the state of calm and confidence was already your home frequency. Let that version of you exhale through the current moment when you're noticing it. Again, just keep remembering today it's not about forcing any shift, it's about recognizing the state that you're already in. And that leads nicely onto today's homework. So, again, today's homework is going to be about noticing the states, not changing them yet. So, throughout today, you're going to notice your reactions more than the circumstances. So, each time something is bringing something up for you, maybe like a tension, maybe some self doubt, some irritation, some feeling annoyed, pause and ask yourself, what state am I being in right now? Name the state quietly to yourself. It's not about fixing it or judging it. It's just about noticing it. Maybe write it down so you've got a little list of what states have you been going through today. And at the end of the day, maybe even write one sentence beginning with, today I noticed I was living from the state of. And this one moment of often like a clear recognition, it's enough, because it's showing you what you need to know. It's making you aware of the states that you're in. And as usual, before you unlock the next video, whether it's today or tomorrow, if you could leave a comment under the post linked below, again, just to motivate the community to share your experiences, to share what your biggest takeaway was. And just like day one, just remember, it doesn't matter how much you share, whether it's a little, whether it's a lot, it's all greatly appreciated. And just like day one, this is just all about awareness. We're not correcting anything yet. The first few videos are just around becoming aware, judgment free, so that we can actually take stock of where we are, what's our consciousness that we live from, what's our states. And if you're feeling the pull to make this awareness your new normal every single day, where you don't just recognize your states, but you consciously create them, that's what we do together inside the reset. And you'll find again the link just below the post that we were just talking about. And I will see you on tomorrow's video.